Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 2 and we would like to present a presentation which is titled Automatic Teller Machine Prototype. This presentation will be presented by three people. My name is Rachman.
My name is Muhamad Falahul Islam.
My name is Fatih Nazaruddin.
I will tell you a little bit about our project. The automatic teller machine, which is ATM, is very helpful in our everyday life, which helps us to withdraw, deposit, transfer, and check our balance without going to the bank every single time. In this project, we have created a system that can help withdraw, deposit, transfer, or even check our balance with just a few clicks.
Now I'm going to discuss about the flowchart and the pseudocode for our project. It is about an ATM. First we begin and then we will declare all the variables. We put all of it into the global variable because we have a lot of doubles for our procedures. And then so we go to display and insert ATM card. The user will accept the ATM card. And if the ATM card is true, it will go and call language. If it's false, it will go to display insert ATM card. It will loop again until the ATM card is true. Here's the pseudocode for the main. Here's the global variables. And here's the begin display insert ATM card, and it will loop. We use the repeat until here. So it will loop again until the ATM card is true. If it's true, we'll call language. Here's the procedure language. It will display choose the language, Indonesia or English, and then the user will accept the user's input. If it's 1, it will go here, and num equals to 1. It will go and call END Checkpin. If the user inputs 2, it will check the num. If it's equal to 2, it will call checkpin. If it's either than 1 or 2, it will go to an invalid input. It will display invalid input. And then here it will check again if num is equal to 1 or num is equal to 2. If it's true, it will go. It will be yes, and then it will return to the one that called the procedure language. If it's false, it will repeat again until the num is equal to 1 or num is equal to 2. Here's the pseudocode for the language. Here I used repeat until. And here we use the switch case. So case 1 is for if num is 1, and case 2 is for if num is 2. Here is the procedure checkpin for the English side. So it will set and go to 0 and end counter to 0. It will display enter your PIN number. It will accept the PIN number from the user. If the PIN number is not equal to password, it will go to the PIN. It will display the PIN is incorrect. If the PIN number is equal to password, it will go to yes and set the end go to 1 and end counter to 3. And then it will add end counter plus 1, so it will be 4. And it will check if end counter is greater than or equal to end max pin. If it's true, it will go here. It will check if end go is equal to 1. Because we set the end go to 1, it will go here, end go is equal to 1. It will call options. And then if the pin is incorrect, it will check if end counter is not equal to 2. If it's not equal to 2, then it will display, do you want to try again, or do you want to leave or try again? If it's false, it will get the end counter to +1. Because the end counter is still 0, it will be true. So it will display, do you want to leave or try again? It will accept the input from the user, either 1 or 2. If the input from the user is 1, it will set end go to 2 and end counter to 3. And if an answer is 2, it will set the end go to 0 If it's either than 1 or 2, it will display invalid input, and it will loop again until the answer is either 1 or 2. And then it will get +1 to the counter. So if the user inputs if the user inputs an answer equals to 1, then the NGO will be equal to 2 and encounter will be equal to 3. So then it will add the encounter +1. So the encounter will be 4. So encounter is greater than or equal to nmaxmin, yes. And then because it declared the NGO is equal to 2, it will go to NGO is equal to 2, and then it will display please take your editing card. If the user try again, it will set the NGO to 0, and it will get plus counter because encounter is still 0. So it will be false, and then it will ask again for your PIN number. If the user tries 2 more times, it will go here because the encounter will be greater than the max PIN. So it will go because the NGO is 0. It will go here. It will display that your ATM card is blocked, and then it will return to the one that called the procedure. Here is the pseudocode for Checkpin. Here we use the for loop. Encounter is equal to 0, and encounter is less than equal to nmaxmin. We use the less than equal to maxmin because if it's true, it will display this. But here we use the encounter is greater than or equal to nmaxmin because the flowchart and pseudocode is really different from one another. Here's all the rest of the code. Here is the Indonesian version of it. It's the same thing, but the display is different. So here we have the silakan masukkan PIN Anda. The other one has please enter your PIN. Well, the flowchart is basically the same, but it's just in Indonesia. Here's the pseudocode for END Checkpin. It's the same thing as the other one. Here's the rest of the code. And then we go into the procedure END options. It will display tarik tunai, 2 setor, 3 transfer, 4 check, saldo rekening. It will accept the N options from the user. If the user input 1, it will call END withdraw. If the user inputs 2, it will call END deposit. If it's 3, it will call END transfer. If it's 4, it will call END check account balance. If it's either than 1, 2, 3, or 4, it will display Anda telah memasukkan nomor yang tidak valid. And then it will check again if NOPS is equal to 1, 2, 3, or 4. If it's false, it will display again this. If it's true, it will return to the one that call the procedure. Here is the pseudocode for END options. And here's the procedure for options. It's basically the same thing, but with the call being different. Here's also the pseudocode for options. Now we go to the procedure for withdraw. Here we display enter amount to withdraw. It will accept the user's input. It will check if an account balance is greater than or equal to n amount. If it's true, it will set an account balance to an account balance minus n amount, and then it will display there is plus an account balance plus left in your account. If it's false, it will display your balance is insufficient. You only have plus an account balance, and then both of them will call continue and then return. Here is the same thing, but this one is in Indonesia. Here we have the pseudocode withdraw. This one is the Indonesian version. Here we use if else for the procedure. And then we go to procedure deposit. It will display enter your amount to deposit. It will accept the input. It will display your new deposit plus amount. It will set an account balance to plus an amount. And then it will display you have plus an account balance plus left in your account. And then it will call continue and then return to the one that called. Here is the same thing, but it is in Indonesia. Here is the pseudocode for deposit and EMD deposit. Here is the procedure for deposit. Here is the one for EMD deposit. Then there's the procedure transfer. It will display enter your destination account number. It will accept the C account number. It will enter amount to transfer. It will accept the input from the user. It will check if an account balance is greater than or equals to an amount. If it's true, it will call receipt. If it's false, it will display your balance is insufficient. You only have plus an account balance, and then it will call continue. Here is the rest of the procedure for EMD transfer. This one is the one that is in Indonesia. Here's the pseudocode for transfer. We use if else again here, the same as the procedure withdraw. Here's the same thing, but this one is in Indonesia. Here we have the procedure check account balance. It will display your account balance is plus an account balance, and then it will call continue. Here's the same thing, but this one calls EMD continue. Here's the pseudocode for check account balance and EMD check account balance. Here we have the procedure receipt. It will display, do you want to print the receipt? Press 1 to say yes, press 2 to say no. It will accept the end receipt from the user. If the end receipt is equals to 1, it will go here. It will display your transfer has been successful and please take your receipt. If the end receipt is equals to 2, it will display your transfer has been successful. If the user inputs either from 1 or 2, not from 1 or 2, it will display invalid input. And then it will check if end receipt is equals to 2 or end receipt is equals to 1. If it's false, it will display again, do you want to print a receipt? Until this statement is true. If this statement is true, it will call continue and then return. This is the same process flowchart, but it only has Indonesian changed from in it. This is the pseudocode for the receipt. We use repeat until here and a switch case. This is the same thing, but it is in Indonesia. This one is procedure continue. It will display, do you have any more transaction? Press 1 to say yes, press 2 to say no. It will accept the option. It will accept the input from the user into this options. If C option is equals to 1, it will call option. If the input is equals to 2, it will display please take a receipt part. If it's 3, it will display invalid input. And then it will check again if C option is equal to 1 or C option is equal to 2. If the statement is false, it will display again, do you have any more transaction? If the statement is true, it will go and return to the one that called this procedure. This one is the same, but it is in Indonesia. Here's the pseudocode for continue. We use repeat until here and a switch case. And here's the one for the pseudocode in EMD continue. We also use the repeat until here and a switch case here. That's all from my presentation. We go to the dry run next.
In this section, I will explain about dry run from automatic teller machine prototype. Firstly, mine. The initiation is mine. Input CATM card, process call language, output procedure language. It means if the users input their ATM card, so the ATM will call a procedure language. After that, we change to procedure language. The initiation is enum, input 1 and 2, process call in checkpin and call checkpin. The output is procedure in checkpin and procedure checkpin. It means if the users input number 1, the ATM will call in checkpin, use Indonesian language. And if the users input number 2, the ATM will call procedure checkpin. It means the ATM will display English language. The procedure checkpin, if the user input their PIN number is immediately true, the ATM will call procedure options. And if the user input their PIN number not immediately through, the ATM will display "Please take your ATM card," or if the user's inputs PIN number 3 times file, the ATM will display "Your ATM card is blocked." In the procedure options, if the user's input number 1, the ATM will call a procedure withdraw, and if the user's input number 2, the ATM will call procedure deposit, and if the user's input number 3, the ATM will call procedure transfer, and last, if the user's input number 4, the ATM will call procedure check account balance. A procedure withdraw, the user will input amount, how much money want to withdraw in this ATM. After the user's input amount, the ATM will call a procedure continue. We change to procedure deposit. If the users After the user's input amount for deposit, the ATM will call procedure continue. So we change to procedure transfer. The users will input a account number. After that, the ATM will call procedure receipt, procedure check account balance. In this procedure, the user will input procedure check account balance. After that, the ATM will call a procedure continue, and then we change to procedure receipt. If the user input number 1, the ATM will display "Your transfer has been successful, please take your receipt." And if the user's input number 2, the ATM will display "Your transfer has been successful." After that, the ATM will call procedure continue. After that, we change to procedure continue. If the user's input number 1, the ATM will call procedure options. And if the user's input number 2, the ATM will display "Please take your ATM card" and exit. Maybe just this for me. I'm sorry if there is some mistake, and thank you.